Hello, everyone, and welcome to Top of the Line, where today we will not be covering the NFL. So instead, we will be covering Formula One, specifically the Miami Grand Prix, which I guess technically is NFL related because it is around the Miami Dolphins Stadium. But I'm Nick Lynch.
And I'm Ben Heltzer.
And without further ado, let's get into it. So the big news around the Miami Grand Prix is that Lando Norris gets his first win as a driver, finally someone other than Max Verstappen. But yeah, it's great to see Lando get his first win.
100%. I love to see that. He called it before the game, and he absolutely delivered. Even though I'm wearing red right now, I'm a huge McLaren fan, and I just absolutely love not only that it wasn't Verstappen, but it was the fact that Lando Norris finally got his first win. It's just amazing to watch, and he's definitely going to be the future of Formula One, in my opinion.
Yeah. As most of you can tell, I am a Ferrari fan, but I'm still happy for Lando. I like him as a driver and as a person. But yeah. So can anyone catch up to Max Verstappen? Because right now, the standings, Max Verstappen is 33 points ahead of his teammate Sergio Perez for first place, and then Charles Leclerc is 5 points down from Perez with 98 points, and Lando Norris moved up a few spots with that win, and Carlos Sainz is actually tied with Lando Norris for fourth place right now.
Yeah, him and Sainz are tied at 83, I think it is,
83.
or something like that. But yeah, as far as Verstappen goes, he did show some signs of weakness during that Miami Grand Prix. He struggled with those hard tires after he went into the pits, and I think that if anyone's going to catch him, it could, or if there was any season for anyone to catch him, it may be this season, but I just don't know if it's going to happen. But I do see either Leclerc or Norris or even Sainz jumping Perez for second. But yeah, I think Verstappen's going to run away with it this year, but next year it's going to be wide open.
Yeah. Verstappen has been complaining about the car all weekend about oversteer, clutch issues, etc. But yeah, I agree. I think that Leclerc and Sainz have a really good chance. So does Norris for second place to beat Sergio Perez. So who will finish second? Who's your prediction?
My official second place prediction, because I have Verstappen winning, is Charles Leclerc. I think that him and his Ferrari is just the model of consistency, and I think that he'll eventually catch and pass Perez for second.
I agree. Leclerc Ferrari has gotten a lot better with strategy this year than recent years. Leclerc's quick in his car, so I think he can definitely get second place.
Mm-hmm.
So the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix is coming up in a few weeks in Imola in Italy. So who are our predictions for top three, Ben?
I think Max Verstappen's going to get right back on top. I think he'll win that one pretty easily. He's got a chip on his shoulder after that second place, and I think he'll be right back up there. For second, I actually have Carlos Sainz. I think that he had some difficulty in Miami. Obviously, with him doing with Oscar Piastri in that one moment, he was complaining a bit. But I think that he'll keep his wits about him in Italy and finish on the podium. And then in third place, I'm gonna go with Sergio Perez. I think both Red Bulls will be on the podium, and I think it'll be a huge gain for Red Bull.
With my top three, I'm gonna go a Red Bull 1-2 here. I think they're gonna bounce back very quick. Verstappen, Sergio Perez, number 2. And number 3, I think I'm gonna go with Leclerc. I think Ferrari, it's their home race, one of them, and I think that's gonna give them a boost to do very well in the race.
Yeah, I can see that, and it also would be good for them to maybe catch up to Red Bull, because it could happen. Red Bull hasn't exactly clinched anything yet. Obviously, we're still early, and I think Ferrari could make that leap if they really try. So yeah, this week will probably be really telling as to how the rest of the season will go.
I just want to go back to the Miami Grand Prix for a second. Lando Norris, he crashed in the sprint race. He did not finish in the sprint race, and then like 24 hours later, he wins the race. but like McLaren, they're a fast car. I think they're better than Mercedes. They're better than Aston Martin.
Absolutely. I think we should go back to that because Lando Norris and his McLaren was hands down faster than Max Verstappen and his Red Bull, and it's a really promising sight to see, especially because Max Verstappen has been on top for so long. But if you really watch that race, Lando Norris was faster, just strictly faster the entire way through, and even Piastri was doing great. He was in second for a while, then he dropped down to around fourth, and then he had his front wing issues. He had to pit, and it plummeted him down, which sucked. But Piastri and Norris are looking really strong, and McLaren could easily contend for the top spot in the Constructors' Championships within the next few years.
So I think Piastri, from the start, he got a really good start, and he was flying through that grid. He was up to second place, almost past Max Verstappen. They actually told Verstappen to pick up the pace a little bit because they were scared with Piastri behind. And also, I think that safety car really messed Max Verstappen up and his team. Who was at that crash? Was it Logan Sargent?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was Sargent.
Yeah.
And his home race too. That must suck.
It's very sad.
Oh well.
Well, that's going to be all we have in Formula One today, but don't leave because when we return, Rocco and I will be talking about the NBA playoffs. So stay right here on Top of the Line. Hello and welcome to the Top of the Line. I'm Nick Lynch.
And Rocco Coppola along with you.
And we are finally into the second round of the NBA playoffs as the first round is done and we move into the second round. So the first series we will talk about the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks, which game one has happened already. And the Knicks come back down 9 in the fourth quarter and beat the Pacers.
The resiliency of this Knicks team is just something that you cannot underestimate whenever you're playing against them, especially in the Garden. I mean, the way they rallied back after being down basically double digits, it's amazing. Like, where does all this come from? The answer really is that simple. It comes from Tom Thibodeau. He's always got them, like, ready for war. And you notice, like, you see Jalen Brunson, 4 straight 40-point games, 40-plus points. Guys, that's not – only 4 other guys have done that in NBA playoff history. That's not – like, this is unheard of. That's the level we're in right now. And Brunson has taken his game to a whole nother level. You see how, like, he just changes the game so quickly. And especially with Tyrese Halliburton only having 6 points. Like, where's your superstar? I get it. Referee this, referee that. You're up by 9 in the fourth quarter on the road. Your star player has 6 points. You don't deserve to win. You don't deserve to win.
Yeah, it was a late offensive foul on Indiana that basically cost them the game. And the Indiana Pacers, on the other hand, they win their first playoff series in 10 years. So do we have any early predictions in this series, Rocco?
Before the series started, I stuck with Knicks in 6. I'm going to stick by that prediction just to be safe. I think Indiana's got what it takes to win a game or two and score. But the problem is they're a little too young, and I don't think it's their time yet. Halliburton's time will come. It's just not now. Right now, Jalen Brunson's on a tear. He's on a mission. I think the Knicks take it in 6.
I'm going to take New York in 7. I think the Pacers are going to take them all the way in this series, but I think the Knicks are going to come out on top for the win. So the next series is the other Eastern Conference series with the Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Celtics cruised with an easy 4-1 victory over the Miami Heat in the first round. The Cavaliers win their first playoff series without LeBron James on the roster since 1993. And it's been a while, to see no LeBron on Cleveland in the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, you look at it right here. It's like, for Boston, I don't really think we expected anything different. Maybe instead of 5 games, it could have been 4 games. But you look at it now. No Jimmy Butler. This is kind of what we thought would happen, what we knew would happen. Boston moves on. Miami goes home. And Jimmy Butler, well, I'll touch on him in a second. The Cavs, 31 years. It took them 31 years to win a playoff series without LeBron James. Here's where they're at now. I don't think the Cavs are a great team. They caught fire recently towards the end of the season, but right now they don't look like that team that just wants to win. 0 wins on the road, just like the Magic, except the Magic are home and they're not. Cleveland has a short rest. I don't see any reason why Boston shouldn't win in 5.
I agree, and that short rest is definitely going to come into play for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Boston,
which is why I'm going to take the Boston Celtics in 4 games. They're going to sweep Cleveland and move on to the Eastern Conference.
And I get Kristaps Porzingis is injured, but Boston's had just about a week, basically a week to prepare for this team. There's no reason why they shouldn't win. They're well coached. They're easily one of the best team in the league, in my opinion. At least top 3. 64-18 for a reason, guys. Now, Jason Tatum needs to just not be a choker. And with that being said, I'm going to touch on Jimmy Butler. I don't know if you've seen.
I've heard what he said, and
Oh, Jimmy. Zoom the camera on me for a second. Just got to let you guys know something here. Jimmy Butler, I saw your video, and I see, okay, you took the Knicks out last year. You took the Celtics out last year. But here's where we draw the line. Where are you at now? You're currently in Cancun, but that's not something like you will go out there and say, I get it. Maybe you having a little fun, but you can't just come out here and talk about other teams when you're not even in the playoffs. You got hurt when it mattered most, so you couldn't even help your team get to the playoffs. They scraped by the Bulls. So you can't be going out saying that you would have taken them out. Both teams would have beaten you in 4 or 5. That's just how it would have go. So, Jimmy Butler, I don't know if you're going to stay in Miami next year or if you're going to go to Philly, wherever you go. Just take that attitude with you, and that's why you won't win a ring.
For some of you who don't know what he said that he would beat the Celtics in the playoffs, and he would for sure beat the Knicks in the playoffs.
Who is Josh Hart? Get out of here. Get out of here. That's who. Last night is who Josh Hart is.
Yes.
That's who Josh Hart is. But enough about Jimmy Butler. He's at home. These teams aren't. Let's move on.
So on to the Western Conference, the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets. Anthony Edwards with 43 points in Game 1 as the Wolves take that game in Denver. And then in Game 2, Minnesota defeats Denver by 26 points. And I honestly think they have a shot at sweeping the Nuggets.
Wow. The Nuggets lose back-to-back games in Denver.
In Denver.
Almost unheard of. The Wolves, this team might win the whole thing. No ring. I don't believe they've won a championship in their past.
No,
At least
I don't think
if
they
they have, it must have not been for a very long time. But from worst to first, just like the Thunder, the Wolves have turned it around completely. Like they got Cat, they got Rudy Gobert, they got Anthony Edwards, who is still not beating the Michael Jordan reincarnation allegations as we currently see. And of course, Mike Conley, the veteran, can't underestimate him either. The Wolves have done a fantastic job building this team, and I really think now the pressure's on Denver. They lost both games at home. Now they got to go to Minnesota twice. So there's no telling what's going to happen. I think I originally had the Nuggets winning in 7, but I have a feeling I'm going to take an L on this series here. And as of today, I think the Wolves are just going to make this 6 games, 7 games. Listen, I'm not going to count out Joker yet. We know how Jokic gets when he's in a tough spot. But we have to be real. This Wolves team is special.
Yeah, the Wolves are the new favorites to win the Western Conference, not Oklahoma City anymore. Anthony Edwards getting an MVP chance in Denver.
He'll get some one day. He'll get it.
But I think I'm going to take the Timberwolves in 5. I think the Nuggets are going to get 1 in Minnesota. It's hard to imagine them getting swept.
I mean, yeah,
in the playoffs.
it's Joker after all, but we'll see. You know who I think is going to get absolutely stunned? My upset of the second round?
Who's that?
I'm picking my boy Luka Doncic to take out the Oklahoma City Thunder in 6 games.
Yeah, that's actually a great upset to pick because, like, the Thunder are a good team, and don't get me wrong, they're a young team. They're the youngest team ever to win a playoff series. But I think the Mavericks, you should not count them out yet.
No reason to ever count them out.
No.
You have Luka and Kyrie Irving on one team. You don't count that team out, period. They were never going to lose to the Clippers, especially after losing the first game. The Mavericks, they're catching fire. Luka's on a mission right now. And you see in his eyes, him and Kyrie are playing some of the best ball they've been playing in their career. I don't think the Thunder are ready for them. They're not. Listen, I'll say this. Coach Mike has done a fantastic job with the Thunder. We get that. Number 1 seed. But the problem is, it's the inexperience that's going to catch up to them, and I think they might seem a little fraudulent. I like Gilgeous-Alexander. I even like Josh Giddey, too. He's impactful inside the paint. And Jalen Williams, another good guy. Of course, how could we forget about Chet Holmgren? But there's a reason why Luka is what he is and why Kyrie Irving is what he is. He's fantastic. They're fantastic. And listen, I know Jason Kidd might not be the greatest coach, but at the end of the day, talent can get you places. So I think the Mavericks are going to win 6.
I mean, it's not a bad prediction, but some other news we have non-playoff related. The Lakers have fired head coach Darwin Ham after 2 seasons with the Lakers after underachieving their goals. But yeah, I think this is a good move. Like maybe, start off fresh, kind of.
No.
You don't agree?
No. Listen, I get it. Darvin Ham, not the greatest coach ever, but took you to the East. I'm sorry, not the Eastern Conference.
Western.
The Western Conference Final last year, first season, and you were the 7th seed, I believe. The Lakers were the 7th seed, yes. And now you're firing him because you ran into the Denver Nuggets. Listen,
Yes,
it might have been too early to fire him. Listen, I don't know where LeBron's going to play next year. I don't know where Bronny James is going to be. But I would have held on to Darvin Ham for another season. I think he's going to get a coaching job elsewhere.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you could have kept him for another year because I did forget about that Western Conference Finals run.
I mean, yeah, like they weren't going to beat the Nuggets last year. They weren't beating the Nuggets this year. It wasn't going to happen. So here, now you start off fresh. What does that mean for LeBron? There's really no telling what's going to happen. So listen, it's just I really don't know where that franchise is headed.
I agree. But Victor Wembanyama wins the Rookie of the Year award. I think it was pretty obvious to everybody.
What he did against Chet Holmgren, and listen, Chet Holmgren is phenomenal. What Victor Wembanyama did this season and against Chet, that solidified it. Ended it. Unanimous decision. No ifs, ands, or buts. Nobody's going to want to play the Spurs in a few years. Listen, not even next year even. The Spurs remind me of the Chicago Bears right now. The Bears got Caleb Williams, and they built a great team around him. But now, you see the Spurs are going to build something around him. I don't know what Greg and Coach Popovich is going to be doing for the future. I don't know if he's going to come back. Listen, he's been coaching for a minute, so it could be any year now. But Victor has provided a spark with his team. You saw how they looked at the end of this year, I'm sorry. It's special. He's a special player. He's really, really talented. So what do you do now that you have the unanimous Rookie of the Year, a 7'4" French generational talent? You build around him and you go after a championship as soon as possible.
I agree. I think they just have to build around him, but that'll be for years. In a few years, Spurs are going to be really good, I think.
A few years, you're talking next year.
Well, that is it for us on the NBA here. But up next is Noah and Matt with the MLB.
Hello, and basketball season is over, so welcome back to a new segment on the MLB. Today we'll be covering the past week in the Major League Baseball. Let's start off with Saturday. We had the Yankees defeat the Tigers 5-3. Thoughts, Noah?
So I think the Tigers have become a lot better of a team than they were last year. I don't know if the record shows for them, but Riley Green, their center fielder rookie, has really stepped up for them and become a key player in that team, or the key player in that team. But, the Yankees obviously signed Juan Soto this past offseason. They look like a powerhouse, even though they've cooled off a little bit. But, I think pretty good win for the Yankees. They should be able to limit the runs better on the Tigers, let's be honest here. But, scoring 5 runs isn't easy in this game, and I think it was a great win for the Yankees.
Okay. Also, the Athletics defeated the Marlins 20-4. What a big game. What did you think of this?
Wow. So the Athletics and Marlins, 2 teams who will not be making the playoffs this year. But, 20-4, unheard of, especially from the Oakland Athletics scoring 20 runs. I don't even think they scored 20 runs all year last year. So it's a big win for them. They're not going to do much this year, but it was nice to see them win a game. And Miami's just been very bad this year. I don't think they're making any kind of splash in the playoffs. They got to build up this offseason.
Moving on to Sunday, we got the Mets coming close, but losing by 1 to the Rays. Thoughts?
As a Mets fan, this disappoints me. We were up a decent amount of that game, and obviously the Rays aren't a team to be joking with, and just the Mets need to do better. The Mets have been a boring team all year. I think by the trade deadline, Pete Alonso will not be a Met anymore. And I think once he's not a Met, I feel like we have to empty the ship a little bit. I feel like we have to trade off a couple of players, and I think we just need a fresh start because we're in the Cohen era now, and we still have players who have not been from there, and this team has just looked very bland, very boring, especially the hitting. The pitching this year has been better than it was last year, but the same time last year was really the year we traded off all of our old pitchers, as I like to call the senior home. But I think the Mets need to do, I wouldn't say need to do better. I just feel like they need to drop ship a little bit. I feel like they need to empty players on. And obviously the Rays are a great team. Good job to them for winning and sweeping us in the series. But Mets need to do better. Mets need to empty the ship.
Now, which team would you say is doing like the best out of all of them and is to look out for? Other teams should look out for.
You know, it's a team in the NL, and it's a very close battle between the Philadelphia Phillies and the LA Dodgers. But I think so far the Phillies have just been better. You know, the Phillies have caught fire in the past week, I'd say, and their hitting has looked good. The pitching has been good, and there's really no flaw to their game recently. And obviously the Dodgers built up this entire offseason. They're a powerhouse, but I just feel like the Phillies have been better recently, and I think that's going to keep happening, or the Dodgers could go catch fire. But, you know, the big thing with the Dodgers, they got Ohtani, obviously, you know, biggest move in the past couple of years in baseball, but he can only hit, Matt. He's getting Tommy John surgery. He can't pitch. He can only hit, and that's a big flaw because as good of a hitter as Ohtani is, as generational of a hitter as Ohtani is, he's also an amazing pitcher. He's, I'd say, top 5 in the league pitching. And not having that on your team is a huge flaw. And I think the Phillies pitching with Nola and Wheeler has been a lot better than the Dodgers pitching with Yamamoto. And I just think the Phillies are going to continue to catch fire while the Dodgers cool off a little bit.
Let's talk about one of the best players, arguably best players currently, Mike Trout and his injury. How do you think this affected his season?
You know, obviously it's terrible for Mike Trout, but I feel like this is a reoccurring theme. I feel like he gets injured every single year recently, and you know, Matt, he's up there in age, and let's be honest, the Angels aren't doing anything. That's why they got to let Ohtani leave, and that's why their record is what it is right now. And Mike Trout, obviously, hope he gets better, but I think soon it's going to be time for Mike to hang up the cleats. I feel like it's just reoccurring theme, injury after injury after injury. He can't even play a full season. I don't think he's played a full season in probably 5 years, but maybe even more than that. But I think soon this is it for Mike Trout. I feel like I give him one more season, use him conservatively so he doesn't get hurt again, but I feel like this is it for him.
Well, that's all for baseball talk today, but don't move because next up is Andrew and Marco on soccer.
Hello, I'm Marco Baldino.
And I'm Andrew Mirzaaghasi.
And we will be covering the second leg of the Champions League semifinals. So let's go straight to PSG versus Dortmund and the second leg in Paris with PSG most likely to win this game.
Yep, Dortmund won this game 0-1.
And
just
my
like the first
prediction
leg.
was right. I knew it. I knew Dortmund.
You
Pretty
only
fast,
got lucky just because PSG was just like Man United and kept attempting goals, but just missing it. Like at least 6 times. 6 times.
Yeah.
It at least hit the goalpost. And I'm upset by that because they could have made it in.
I would have never thought Dortmund would shut out PSG in both the games.
Yeah, twice.
That's what I find crazy. PSG could not get past the yellow wall at all.
Yeah, at all. And I'm like really shocked because no one scored in PSG side. Not even Mbappe himself even scored in these 2 games, in which I'm quite shocked. Yeah. So easily.
Yeah, and so Ramos will score the only goal in this game in the 50th minute from a header off a corner kick, and that's what would seal the game mostly because Dortmund would just stay back, clear the ball, and just play so defensively. But you want to know something? Like how PSG was so unlucky, so unfortunate because they hit the post 6 times in both games.
That was really unfortunate. Really unfortunate. They were
total of 6 times.
Yeah, they really wanted to score too because every time it kept hitting the goalpost or it missed, you were really struggling out there, man. I don't even know what happened.
Yeah, that's crazy. Hitting the post 6 times in 2 games.
I know. It's really, really unlucky, and because of that, they're eliminated now.
Yep.
So there goes that. So now, a better game that isn't PSG just missing a total of 90 minutes. We have Real Madrid versus Bayern. And this game, like I said, is a lot more interesting because Real Madrid ends up winning this 2-1.
Yeah, I mean, this was a game where it really came down to like the last minutes and it was like desperate moment for both teams. So Alphonso Davis will score a spectacular goal from in the 68th minute. I think it was like somewhere inside the box. He'll cut in and score, like side netting.
Yeah, and then I think like Real Madrid it was like last moments too, I think.
Yeah, so the super sub would score both goals to win the game. And his name was Josul. I think, hopefully I said it right. It's an unlikely person to like score both goals, but he makes his name known in this game.
Yeah, at least he makes his name known. He puts his name on the map for at least saying, hey, this is the guy that really put Real Madrid into the finals.
Yeah.
So at least he can have that to his credit.
And like there's like a lot of controversy with like VAR and like the referees messing up like on an offside call. I'm not going to get too into that. You could talk about yourself and your thoughts, but
Or
I'm not
have
going
a
to get
conspiracy theory.
I'm not getting too deep into it.
Yeah, we're not going into deep to that. However, what we're going to go deep into is who's going to win the finals.
Give me Dortmund. I don't think Real Madrid might get past the yellow wall maybe once, but give me Dortmund win the Champions League.
Honestly, I feel like Real Madrid would win just because I felt like Dortmund really got lucky with PSG, but I feel like Real Madrid would somehow surpass them. So I'll give it to Real Madrid because I honestly think they can do it. They have the potential. I mean,
They have the team, of course. They have the team to really win the Champions League. And it's Real Madrid.
I mean, yeah,
They're always meant for the Champions League.
always meant for it.
Yeah.
I'm positive that they could probably win, but we could only see that happen at June 1st.
Yep.
So
Wembley Stadium.
Wembley Stadium, they host it, and we get to see who wins from that. So, thanks for watching. Tune in next week for a recap of NFL and NBA basketball games and the continuing coverage of soccer. All of this and more on the next episode of Top of the Line.